Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast. I'm Ryan Wormeli, joined as I am every week by Derek Brown and by Pat Fitzmaurice. We are talking key questions for Week 13, and unlike usual, when we've had a whole week to kind of build up to this show and prepare for all the games and run through everything, this is Thanksgiving week, so our schedule is looking a little bit different. We are taping this Tuesday, early afternoon around lunchtime. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of a blanket statement throughout all of these matchups that we don't have all the information we're going to have as far as injuries and things like that. So we're going to do the best we can. We still want to be able to offer everybody kind of a preview show going through every single matchup of the week, but it's much earlier in the week than usual. So if we say, hey, rankings subject to change, injuries unknown, things like that, that is why. We are going to be talking about the Thanksgiving slate as well, and of course the Black Friday game, and then getting into the Sunday slate as well. It's our only show of the entire year where we are covering every single matchup of the entire week, because usually we don't cover that Thursday night game at least. So we are also going to move a little bit quickly through these games relative to how we usually do. So with that preamble out of the way, we will go ahead and dive in. Quick reminder for everybody, all of our weekly consensus rankings and tiers can be found at fantasypros.com/rankings. And of course, there are no teams on bye. We get back to the bye weeks next week, but for this week, we have no teams that are missing. Kicking off the Thanksgiving slate, Fitz, I'll start with you on this one since it is your Packers playing here in that early game. Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown aren't options. I'm taking them off the table for you. Which player in this game do you most want to be ahead of consensus on this week? Either the Packers or the Lions side, Gibbs and St. Brown are not options.
Oh, man. And by the way, what a good way to kick off what is the best Thanksgiving slate we've ever had since we went to a 3-game Thanksgiving. Like, this slate is tremendous. Normally there's one boring game where you can like go and talk to the aunts and uncles. I don't know when I'm going to find time for conversation with aunts and uncles this Thursday. So anyway, yeah, I'm torn between two guys. Can I mention both real quick?
Of course.
Yes.
All right. Packers side, Christian Watson. He's been the Packers' best wide receiver, or at least he is right now. Not necessarily saying a lot. Watson is wide receiver 32.5 point PPR fantasy points per game since coming back from his knee injury in week 8. He's had at least 45 yards in every game. He doesn't get huge target volume, but he makes catches downfield and, averaging 16.6 yards per catch, 11.8 yards per target. I think he has a good day, although it's worth noting there's a slight chance Jaden Reed comes off IR and plays against the Lions on Thanksgiving, in which case I'd probably have to drop Watson a few spots in the rankings. On the other side, David Montgomery. So Jahmyr Gibbs had 26 touches on Sunday, and David Montgomery had 8. And obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs just went on a rampage against the Giants. Dan Campbell might look to balance out the workload a bit with the Lions playing on Thursday on only 3 days rest.
Debra, I know you are going to agree on Christian Watson. I'm sure. Was he your pick here, or just somebody that you agree with?
Agree, and he's my pick. Where is he at in ECR? Because he's the guy I want to be ahead of it, and I'm going to illuminate on a few of Fitzy's points here, too. Where is he at currently in ECR?
He is, I must have scrolled past him because I didn't. Okay, he's wide receiver 30.
Okay. I can make a case for him as a wide receiver, too. Right now I have him as wide receiver 26, and the thing that Fitzy points out here is, yeah, he hasn't had the blow-up games outside of the 2-touchdown game. But the other thing is the Packers haven't been pushed to pass the ball. And this is a game where if there's a team that can push them, if Detroit can overcome the Packers' secondary and their defense, which is playing lights-out football, if they can overcome that, they can push the Packers outside of this vanilla, run the ball, strangle opponents into submission, and just bleed out the clock type of approach. And that's what can give Christian Watson ceiling. And the other thing is the coverage matchup is fantastic for Watson. Like, Detroit's running single high, the third highest rate. Watson has eaten since, and I want to point out since week 10, and I know it's a small sample size, but guys, since week 10, Christian Watson has basically been their wide receiver 1. Like, he's got a 25% target share. He's gotten a 36.7% first read share. And I'm not that worried about Jaden Reed coming back. Like, I think when he comes back, I think he's going to play a part-time role. I think that's more concerning for already concerning and droppable Matthew Golden. I think Watson's role and probably a Romeo Doubs role as the starting perimeter guys, I think those two roles are kind of set, especially with Watson. So I'm not moving Watson a ton based off of Reed because I think it hurts Golden the most out of anybody. But this is a glorious matchup for Watson and this Packers passing attack to get pushed if the Lions don't crumple under pressure and their offensive line can hold up.
We're not going to take too many detours this episode just because there's so many games to get through. I do want to ask, is this the best game on the slate? Because I totally agree with you, Fitz. This is the best Thanksgiving slate that we have ever had. It's really like every single team is basically viewing this as a must-win game, which is like kind of awesome for all 6 teams playing. And they're all great matchups. Is this the best one, though, Packers-Lions, Fitz?
I'm obviously a little biased. I think maybe Chiefs-Cowboys is a little bit sexier.
That's my vote. Chiefs and Cowboys. I think that game is the blow-up game.
Well, that game, that second one is usually the one that sets the, ratings record, and like Chiefs and Cowboys, like given where these two franchises are, I think it probably will set like the ratings record for a Thanksgiving game. Let's get into that game now. I was surprised by the total Chiefs and Cowboys being 52 on Hard Rock Bet. When I was looking, I was expecting this to be in the 40s. Maybe you guys disagree. I was really surprised by that. Do you see this as a high score game, or do you think it'll be more, I won't call it a defensive struggle, but a defensive driven game, D-Bro?
I think we're going to see a lot of scoring in this game. I mean, the case is easy to make on the Chiefs side because the Cowboys defense is improved over the last few weeks, but they're still not a good unit. So I think there's a lot of points where Kansas City can exploit, but also, dude, like, did we just watch Dak and like, I mean, that offense kind of hum versus, and I know they didn't hum for the entire game, but the final stat lines were monstrous for Dallas in the last week. I think CeeDee Lamb is a big bounce back week, and Kansas City's pass defense has honestly taken a step back. Since week 7, they're allowing the 13th highest yards per attempt and the 6th highest adjusted completion rate. So I don't think Javonte has a good game on the ground this week, but I think Dallas can absolutely get it done through the air, and I think we're going to have a lot of point scoring in this one.
I think both teams are going to struggle on the ground. I do think Dallas's run defense has looked, better since adding Quinnen Williams, unsurprisingly, but like I do think that has panned out well for them. The Chiefs, like Fitz, it's not just about how I think the defenses will play. The Chiefs have not scored over 23 points in a game since week 8, and that week 8 game came against the Commanders, who are terrible. So like it's not like their offense has been totally humming either. That's why I kind of think it's going to be lower scoring. Are you more on Debro's side here, where you think it's going to be a higher scoring affair?
Oh, I'm torn about this, and I was just talking to Andrew Erickson about whether we should like the under or the over here. And I think we might be leaning slightly under, although I haven't bet it yet, and I don't know if I will. The Chiefs continuing to look for those home run balls that aren't there for them, and seemingly an unwillingness to commit to the running game. The Cowboys' defense has been better. The cavalry has come to the rescue with some of these reinforcements with Quinnen Williams. Like, they gave up 236 yards of offense to the Raiders. Okay, granted, that's the Raiders. They're terrible in that Monday night blowout a couple of weeks ago. But then 24 points for the Eagles, nothing down the stretch, 339 yards of offense for the Eagles, a potent offense that they kind of kept in check. So I'm willing to believe that the Cowboys, if not, we can't call them a good defense, but it's at least a respectable defense, which they were not earlier in the season. So I think there's a case to be made for the under here.
I think the ball will get moved. We're going to see yardage in this game, but I just feel like there's going to be a lot of settling for field goals.
Could be.
Because I don't think the teams are going to run very well. So
I hate betting totals over 50. I'm just going to throw that out there.
It's a big number.
There's too many ways for that to go sideways. So, like, I would say, like, I'm more likely, like, I'm not touching the total in this one. I think the most interesting angle for this one is with the Cowboys at home is maybe the Cowboys money line.
I wouldn't hate that. That one I'd be more interested in than the total. I think the total is probably as high as it is. Because it's two very public franchises playing in like the most public window of the season. Like, people want to bet the over on this game, and also just remembering like Kansas City was on fire to start the year on offense. The Dallas defense was terrible to start the year, and maybe just like having kind of memories of that. Whereas the last few weeks, neither side has really looked at that same level.
Real quick, just on D-Rose Dallas thing, I do wonder, though, if Dallas is maybe a little bit overvalued because their last two games were the win over the Eagles, where the Eagles kind of shot themselves in the foot, and then just the win over that terrible, the Raiders are the worst team in the league. And so maybe they're overvalued with those two high-profile games because that Raiders game was a Monday Night Football game. Before that, they got their doors blown off by the Broncos and lost to the Cardinals by 10 points. Yep. So I wonder if maybe this line is like closer than it would normally be, if it should maybe be more like KC by 5.
Well, what's funny is like on the Kansas City side, before this Colts win, their last 2 wins were against the Raiders and Commanders. So
and they barely beat the Colts, by the way.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
Yes.
So I mean, it's an interesting game. Like this is a game I want to be glued to.
It is.
Well, if both teams were healthy, the game I'm going to be glued to it anyway, but the game that I think a lot of people will be glued to is Bengals-Ravens, because every time these two teams play, when they are healthy, it's like 38-35, back and forth, like super, super fun game. I'm not really expecting that in this situation because Lamar is clearly banged up. He has yet another new lower body injury. He went from the hamstring to the knee to the ankle. Now it's his toe. And, of course, Joe Burrow, speaking of toes, is coming back from his turf toe injury, coming back a couple weeks earlier than anticipated, even in a best-case scenario. So with Burrow making his return from injury, it's against the Ravens defense that has not allowed 20 points in a game since early October. How will this Bengals offense look with Burrow back, but now missing T. Higgins, Fitz?
Well, gosh, Worm, were you aware that in 2 games against the Ravens last season, Joe Burrow had 820 passing yards and 9 touchdowns?
I was aware that it was roughly in that range.
It keeps him up at night.
Well, not that much at night because the Ravens won both games, but
yeah. So it's Joe freaking Burrow, man. What's there to talk about? Like the Bengals' terrible defense is going to put him into some shootouts down the stretch. He could get one here. I think he's going to be good. I wish he had both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. No T. Higgins this week because of a concussion, but could be a pretty good outlook for Jamar Chase. I think this one's going to be fun, and maybe this is the game where we get a lot of points.
So there's no hesitation for you just in terms of the timeline of Burrow. Like they said, like mid-December was best case scenario for him to return. Now he's coming back in November. There's no like, well, maybe he's pushing it back a little early because their backs are against the wall in desperation mode, and maybe he's not all the way ready. You think it's just going to be like Joe Burrow at full strength here, Fitz?
I kind of do.
Okay.
Like I've got him ranked QB 8 this week. I don't know if they're some high output quarterbacks I can't put him ahead of in the rankings, but I'm not concerned. If I've been waiting on Joe Burrow, yes, I'm playing him.
Okay. D-Bird, do you feel the same way? You're just kind of all systems go here for Burrow in this offense?
I've got him a little bit lower just because of some really good matchups for other quarterbacks. And I don't have hesitation playing him, but I've got him at QB 11 right now, but still being a top 12 quarterback. Like, I think he's probably going to look a little bit rusty out the chute in the first half here. My biggest question, and we still haven't gotten an answer, and I think we finally get that answer this week, is the Ravens' pass defense for real? Because if you look at their numbers on paper, they look amazing. But also, since week 8, they've faced Caleb Williams, Tua Tagovailoa, J.J. McCarthy, Dylan Gabriel, Shadur Sanders, and Tyrod Taylor. So, still, we haven't had a real test for the Baltimore Ravens defense since they've been looking amazing over the last few weeks. I think Burrow puts up, just because of the game script in this, I think Burrow does put up QB1 numbers, and I would be starting him over a lot of other players, like if Baker Mayfield plays. I even think that like there's reason to start him over Sam Darnold. I've got him ranked right ahead of Jordan Love. I would play him over Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence in a good matchup.
How about Burrow or Dak on Thursday?
I'm playing Dak. I'm playing Dak over him. Again, like I think that game is going to be a shootout performance. Okay. But to your point about what this offense could look like, though, Worm, I think we're going to get another heaping dose, and I think this is going to be another freaking fantastic game for Chase Brown. He has been lights out. He has been Cincinnati's CMC again since week 9. This dude has been the RB9 in fantasy points per game, and that is without scoring a single freaking touchdown. So, like, Chase Brown, where's he at in ECR, dude? Because I want to be ahead of it. That's the guy that I really want to highlight here.
He is RB8.
Samaje Perine could be back this week.
But I still don't think he's fully healthy, Fitz, and I think we're getting...
It's like probably really hard, Debro, for you to be above consensus because the 7 names ahead of him are Gibbs, McCaffrey, Taylor, Achane, Henry, Bijan, and Cook.
That's him at RB6.
So who's behind him of those 7?
Barkley I've got right behind him, and I've got Derrick Henry right behind him. But
Henry's
the case for Henry being above him or below him. It just depends on how you want to look at the Ravens offense.
The other thing I will say quickly on this game, Kyle Hamilton might not play, so keep an eye on that. Like that will make things. I mean, I think actually the Kyle Hamilton remains underrated in terms of the impact he has on the defense. Like if he doesn't play, Burrow might be like QB3 this week. Honestly, that's how much of a difference I think he'll make. So definitely keep a close eye on that as we get to Thursday. Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. There are 3 things to be thankful for this week: family, food, and football. And thanks to Hard Rock Bet, you can easily sneak in bets while your crazy uncle goes on his annual rant about the good old days. Sign up today and you could feast with $150 in bonus bets. Just place a $5 bet. If it hits, you get not only your winnings, but also $150 in extra bonus bets. That's an offer you can't pass up, even on a full stomach. Not sure what to place on your first bet? Head on over to Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub and it'll help you out. It's loaded with trends, streaks, and stats to help guide your picks. Numbers don't lie, and neither does the data in there. Plus, this week on Hard Rock Bet, you get 3 50% profit boosts, one for each Thanksgiving Day game. Boost your same game parlay or SGP Max so your bets pay extra winnings. There's new promos every day, so if you're listening to this later, just open the app and check out what you've got any day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit. Guys, we have another Black Friday game here. Bears at Eagles. D-Bro, good luck trying to rank A.J. Brown week to week this season. He is coming off his second best fantasy output of the year. Around where will he rank for you against the Bears?
I'm going to be more aggressive on him. I understand the downside. I understand the issues, but the matchup is freaking fantastic. Like, I know that they probably get Jalen Johnson back and Kyler Gordon back. I think the thing I want to highlight here is just the splits and coverage splits for A.J. Brown have been gargantuan this year. Like versus 2 high, that's where he's had his down games, versus single high, which the Bears have run at the 11th highest rate since week 6. A.J. Brown has a 31.6% target share, 2.5 yards per route run, and a 40% first read share. So while I've got some hesitation and some heebie-jeebies about playing A.J. Brown, I do think that this is a big game for him.
He is actually. I'm looking at the staff rankings here. I want to see what he is in overall ECR.
I have him at wide receiver 10.
He's wide receiver 11 in ECR.
Okay.
He's dragged down in our staff rankings a bit by Erickson, who has him down at wide receiver 19. You two appear to be more in line fits.
Yeah, I am a little more worried about the Jalen Johnson matchup than D-Bro is, and it does look like Jalen Johnson is going to be back. I don't think he's played since like week 2. He was practicing last week. I think the Bears held him out because they didn't want to have him play, then have him only have 4 days to recover before another game. So now he's going to be back. I think he's probably one of the 10 best outside cornerbacks in the league. And I think he's going to see a lot of A.J. Brown in this game. So I've Devontae Smith ranked 1 spot higher than A.J.B. I've got A.J. Brown ranked 13th.
13th. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Brown is just a funny player to talk about, right? Because like it's been such a roller coaster, largely a disappointment for people. D-Bro, you mentioned like the coverage maybe playing into his favor in this one. Like looking at the rest of the season, like would it totally shock anybody if A.J. Brown actually ended up being like a fantasy playoffs hero? Just looking like he gets Washington in week 16, like he has the Chicago game. Like there's some good matchups, coming ahead. So I have a feeling this won't be the last week we talk about A.J. Brown.
He's going to drive you insane if you try to jerk him in and out of your lineup every week based on what happened the previous week. Just keep starting him.
Just got to ride the wave, dude.
Yeah,
it's like with George Kittle in previous years. You just got to ride the wave.
Live with the lows.
By the way, who do you guys think wins that game? Chicago, Philly? I mean, Philly's favored, but like Chicago 8-3, like they kind of play these weird games. Philly's favored by a touchdown. I shouldn't have said who wins. Who do you think covers in this game? Philly by a touchdown.
Eagles. This is all Eagles defense, and this is bad Caleb showing up versus a really good defense.
I kind of think so too. I mean, I'm as a Packers fan, I'm not trying to diss the Bears, but like they are not as good as their record right now. Clearly,
they're not. And Caleb's splits versus good defenses have been huge this year. So,
I
Fangio's going to give him fits, man.
Let's go to the Sunday early slate here. Rams at Panthers. Through 12 weeks, Matthew Stafford is the MVP favorite, and the Rams are Super Bowl favorites. So I want to ask you guys, because I think it's kind of easy to know who to start in this game. Like, there's not really a lot of question marks here. So let's just kind of take a larger step back and look at this as a larger conversation. What's more likely to happen? Stafford winning MVP or the Rams winning the Super Bowl this year? Fitz, I'll start with you.
I think the odds of him winning MVP are better because winning the Super Bowl is hard, man. Yeah, I mean, well, so I think...
No, this is a fantastic conversation. I love this. Yes.
I think voters would probably love to give Matthew Stafford this award as like kind of a capstone for his career. Having a great season, he's the best player on the best team in the league right now. So I think right now, he's absolutely winning the MVP if we voted on the award before Week 13. And it's just he's got such a good setup with that dynamic duo of Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. He's got Sean McVay designing McVay designing this offense for him. Everything is set up for him so nicely, but man, you get into the playoffs and it's like there are a lot of dangerous teams in the NFC this year. So better chances of him winning MVP than the Rams winning the Super Bowl.
Debro, was your reaction saying that you are going the other way on this?
I'm going to go the other way on this one. And I it's not that I've had my flag planted on the Matthew Stafford for MVP award for the last few weeks. So I'm still there. The only thing that I think can hurt his MVP chances is just the sexiness of Drake May and looking at the run out of their schedule. Like, if the Patriots go beat the Bills and the Ravens to close the season, everybody's going to talk about May. You're going to have a Patriots team that's winning, 13 or 14 games. I think that looking at him being the sexy name on the list versus the old stalwart and Matthew Stafford is going to be a real debate for voters, to where if Stafford has, because they get the Lions in Seattle down the back half, if he falters at all, I could see this flipping in May's favor. And I just look at the NFC, and I have tons of questions about every single freaking team in the NFC. I think the Rams should be considered, and I bet them way in the summer to be the Super Bowl favorite from the NFC. I think they really have a fantastic shot. Their defense is playing lights out. Stafford's playing the best football of his career. I think the Rams should be considered the NFC favorite to go to the Super Bowl. And then it's who are you playing out of the AFC that really absolutely frightens you? Is it Denver? Okay, well, Bo Nix is back and forth. Is it Baltimore? Lamar is banged up. You just talked about that worm. Okay, is it the Patriots? But how much is their schedule propping up how good of a team they truly are right now? So I'm taking Stafford for the Super Bowl, and I get all of Fitzy's points. I get the uncertainty. I just think there's also some uncertainty with the MVP award and how that could shake out too.
Well, my pushback on that, Debro, would be just that, if it's close between Stafford and May, I think the voters are going to look and they're going to say, well, May is embarking on what's going to be a long and successful career. There are going to be other MVP awards for this guy, whereas Stafford, to give him one now it seems like it would be really appropriate and something voters would want to do. The other thing is, we'll see how things go for May the rest of the season with no Will Campbell. That's no small injury to lose his starting left tackle. So, I do think Stafford is probably going to put on a better finishing kick than Drake May will. And if it's a Final Four with the Seahawks, the Packers, the Eagles, and the Rams, they're going to have to win 2 really tough games, because any of those teams could potentially take the Rams out and make that offense struggle. There are a lot of good defenses to deal with in the NFC for sure. And, although the Rams defensive line is just ridiculous.
Dude, their defensive line.
Oh my goodness.
I think the other thing that makes me feel really confident in the Rams is when you get to playoff type of football, you have to have a lot of these teams don't have this. The versatility to play a lot of different game environments. You need to be able to run the ball. You need to be able to pass the ball. You need to be able to go heavy personnel. Or do you have the passing offense to play catch-up mode and come back if you needed to do that? I don't know how many of these other teams are built and designed to play all those different types of game environments and have all those different types of pitches in their repertoire. Whereas the Rams, it's okay, check. They can do all of that.
I mean, they're like I said, they're the favorite for both, right? Stafford is favorite for MVP, and Rams are favored for Super Bowl. So there's a reason why it's an interesting conversation. I think the reason I would go with the MVP one, I'd side with Fitz on this, is because the third most favorable odds to win MVP, Jonathan Taylor at plus 2,000. after Stafford and May, there is nobody right now in the conversation. Whereas with Super Bowl, yes, the Rams are the best, but there are other good teams in football. There's not really another MVP candidate besides Drake May. And I take your point, Debra, about like voters do like to kind of anoint the next best thing, but this does feel like the perfect storm for like, let's give one to Stafford on the way out. And May will have plenty of opportunity to win another one. So I lean on the MVP, but it wouldn't surprise me if both happened, truly. Like, obviously, the Rams are really, really good. Let's go to 49ers at Browns. What did you guys think of Shedeur Sanders' first start? Now that he has been named officially the Browns starter, what are your expectations for this offense in terms of fantasy impact, Debra?
Very uneven, but they're going to show signs of life and some explosive elements when Shedeur has the off-script ability and when he has those type of big plays, and we saw that last week. And Dylan Gabriel just does not have that, man. It has been checkdowns underneath. You've seen all the limitations of Dylan Gabriel's game, both of his field vision and just from an ability standpoint. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's always going to be pretty with Shedeur, but they did show signs of life. Like, he had a 50% highly accurate throw rate and only a 55% catchable target rate. Those are not good, but I think you are going to see more signs of energy and life from this offense than we ever got with Dylan Gabriel.
Fitz?
Yeah, people are going to be really entrenched in their opinions of Shedeur coming in, and it's going to be hard to move them off because we know Shedeur has a lot of haters, and I think there's some people like Debro and I who really liked him as a prospect and are kind of rooting for him. So Debro and I are probably, I think we're trying to go out of our way to be objective about this, and I think the more we see Shedeur, the more we're going to see the things that made Debro and I like him a lot, which is that really accurate and short and intermediate range, and is an anticipatory thrower, which I think you kind of need to be in the NFL to succeed. So hopefully we'll see a lot of that, but he can lose his head when there's pressure. We saw that when he had to come in relief of Gabriel 2 weeks ago. But there is a lot to like here. I don't think the numbers are going to be pretty for fantasy, but maybe he can do enough to at least put in a bid to have that job in 2026.
When I ask about fantasy, Fitz, I'm even thinking more in terms of just like the other players in this offense. Like, how do you feel about Judkins getting scoring opportunities, or is Judy going to be playable again? Things like that.
Not great, honestly. I mean, it's going to be a bottom 5 offense.
Yeah.
I think Judkins maybe getting more scoring opportunities is my biggest takeaway. The rest of the pass catchers are going to be so up and down. I think Shedeur is just going to, with broken plays and just hitting whoever's open, I don't think you're starting anybody with confidence at all from this passing attack.
You can let Autopilot manage your fantasy football lineup automatically so you never have to worry about last-minute changes. Auto-swap inactive players and ensure your lineup is always optimized, even when you can't be online. Take control with the flexibility to approve lineup changes via email or let Autopilot handle everything. Stay ahead with My Playbook Autopilot, available now for Fantasy Pros Premium subscribers at fantasypros.com/myplaybook or on the Fantasy Pros app. We're headed to Texans at Colts. Tyler Warren is consistently ranked inside the top 5 tight ends on a weekly basis by consensus, but in 3 of his past 4 games, he has finished outside the top 12 at the position. Where are you ranking him this week against a strong Houston defense, Fitz?
Tight end 5. So he is behind Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, George Kittle, Travis Kelce. And I think a lot of people are going to have Warren ranked ahead of Kelce. I do not. And I'm even kind of tempted to put Warren below Mark Andrews, who I have at tight end 6, because Mark Andrews gets the red carpet matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. But right now I've got Warren at tight end 5.
Debra?
I got him at tight end 5 too, and I think it's more of just it's more of a State of the Union address for just the tight end position. Like it's god awful this year. Like after the top 3 to 4 guys. So really it's just kind of like splitting hairs. Like Houston's been it's been a horrible matchup for tight ends. Like 6th fewest receiving yards per game, 10th lowest yards per reception. So I don't have like a great outlook for Tyler Warren, but like I think him versus Brock Bowers is probably a real conversation just based off of the matchup for Bowers and the quarterback play of Geno Smith. Like to Fitz's point, I have Kelce ranked ahead of Warren. I actually, because I think that game does go over and I think it's a pretty decent matchup, I actually have Jake Ferguson ranked ahead of Tyler Warren too.
I think, just for the record, Mark Andrews should unequivocally be ahead of Tyler Warren. I mean, just whoever is facing the Bengals should be ahead of.
And then we get Isaiah Likely 2-touchdown game.
I don't know.
To troll all of us.
Yeah.
We could get them both scoring. I mean, didn't all three Pittsburgh Steelers tight ends score?
Yes.
So
lock it in. Charlie Kohler.
I was just to say, what's Charlie Kohler's anytime touchdown, baby?
I can't imagine that's posted anywhere.
Oh gosh.
We love that. Okay, yeah, Warren's just one of those guys that he's just kind of earned that spot in the top 5. Like he's just auto there every week, it feels like, and hasn't really been living up to it lately. And is a tough matchup, so I wanted to ask. But it is a tough position to get past the first few names anyway, so reasonable to still be starting him, of course. Let's go to Saints at Dolphins. How interested are you guys in Devin Neal this week, assuming Alvin Kamara is out? Again, we are taping this early. He has the MCL sprain. It is MCL, right? Not PCL. I'm not.
Yes.
MCL. So how interested are you guys in Devin Neal this week? Deeper, I'll start with you.
I mean, fairly. I think he's a good volume bet. He's probably going to get the Kamara type of workload where he's living in the 15 to 18 touches. It really comes down to, can he score a touchdown, because Taysom Hill is going to be involved. And does he get vultured at the goal line? But I mean, I feel good about his prospects for volume and the pass game stuff, because he got a 16% target share last week. The matchup, I will say, against Miami is not great. Their run defense has massively improved since week 8. They're allowing the 4th lowest rushing success rate. They have the 2nd highest stuff rate and the 3rd lowest missed tackle rate. So he's honestly I have more belief, or at least more hope for him in PPR formats than I do half point. But I think he's right there on the cusp of high-end RB3. If he scores a touchdown, he'll be an RB2 this week.
He's RB31 in consensus. Still early in the week, so there's time for that to change. It sounds like you think that's too low, Debro.
A little bit too low. I've got him at RB27, but I feel like we're splitting hairs between him and Tyrone Tracy, DeAndre Swift. What do we think about Aaron Jones and a horrible matchup for him on the ground? So, he's in that kind of area code.
How does it sound to you, Fitz? Too high, too low, or just right? RB31.
Yeah, I've got him RB30, and I could maybe make the case for putting him ahead of Tyrone Tracy, who has that tough matchup against the Patriots. And Debro summed it up pretty well. I think what you're really hoping for is that he continues to get a lot of passing game usage, and that you can count on 3 to 5 catches for him week in, week out, because I do think Taysom Hill is going to be annoying for the people who are spending a lot of fab money on Devin Neal this week. I really like Neal as a prospect coming out of Kansas. He was a top 10 running back prospect for me, and I was a little surprised he didn't get drafted earlier. But good player. Taysom Hill is going to be a problem for him, and maybe a Saints offense that isn't going to be able to string together a lot of long drives is going to be a problem for him too. But the passing game upside is what has me most excited, I think.
Mm-hmm. Same.
It's annoying the Dolphins aren't the terrible run defense they were earlier in the year. It was so easy to just start everybody against them earlier in the year.
It's a glorious matchup. Shout out to Weaver.
Let's go to Falcons at Jets. John Mechie has a touchdown catch in back-to-back weeks. Is he startable in a pinch this week, Fitz?
I think he is. I've got him ranked wide receiver 46 in half-point PPR. And so Mechie is going to take most of his snaps in the slot. And Debro wasn't Billy Bowman, the Falcons' primary slot corner.
He had been
this year. Yeah, and he just tore his Achilles, I believe. Yep. So pretty good matchup, pretty good spot for Mechie this week. And basically they've finally settled on, it looks like, John Mechie and Adonai Mitchell's their top 2 wide receivers. And I know that's not a pair that's striking fear into the hearts of defensive coordinators, but at least we can kind of focus in on them for fantasy, and in deeper leagues, maybe consider starting Mechie or Adonai Mitchell if we're in a real pinch at wide receiver.
He's been top 17 in half PPR scoring each of the last 2 weeks, obviously getting the touchdowns help. And it's not the world's greatest passing offense, Debro, but it certainly is better with Tyrod Taylor playing quarterback, and that can only be a benefit to Mechie here. He's ranked in the mid-50s in consensus right now. Again, still early in the week, so that might go up a little bit. We'll see. Fitz has him up in the mid-40s. Where do you have him?
So I've got him right now at wide receiver 50, and you can make the pro case for Mechie. I'm not going to push anybody off of that like Fitz is. I'm actually more on the Adonai Mitchell side of this one, though, considering the matchup. I've got him ahead of John Mechie at wide receiver 46, And I know that the box scores have not been kind to Adonai Mitchell, but the usage has really been there, man. Like in week 11, the dude got a 22% target share. He had a 40% first read share. I know he dropped almost everything, but last week he had a 25% target share too. Like John Mechie and him tied for targets on the team lead. The only thing is Mechie ran hot with the touchdowns, but Atlanta, if I want to pick on anything versus Atlanta, it's their outside corners. They haven't been good, man. Since week 7, giving up the second most PPR points per target. So I think that this is probably a good regression game for Adonai Mitchell to where he comes away with the big game. Not to say that Mechie can't, but both of these guys are definitely flex worthy.
If you want a chance to win a Justin Jefferson signed Vikings jersey for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com, all you need to do is head to fantasypros.com/contest, complete the form, and either download the Fantasy Pros app, leave a review for the podcast, or follow us on X, Instagram, or TikTok at Fantasy Pros. The more actions you complete, the more entries you receive. We will be announcing a winner on the podcast near the beginning of next month. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Cardinals at Buccaneers, next game up for us, fellas. It's early in the week, but it does seem like Bucky Irving might finally return this week. How interested will you be in starting him in his first game back, D-Bro?
Pretty interested. I mean, I think he's a plug-and-play RB2. I do think you're probably going to see a lot more Sean Tucker. Like, this backfield's so freaking interesting. It's like, okay, they probably get, like, I don't think they're going to run out 3 running backs, although that is possible. If this is a 3-way committee, I can't say that that is not a possibility, but I'm also kind of wondering, does this become Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker in the backfield? But either way it goes, this is a really good matchup for Bucky Irving to step back into. Like right now I've got him at RB17 for the week just because the Cardinals' run defense has been god-awful. Like since week 8, they're giving up the 9th most rushing yards per game, the 5th highest missed tackle rate, and yards after contact per attempt. So even if I do have volume concerns and role concerns for Bucky Irving, I do think that he walks back into a role where he's probably somewhere in the 12 to 15 touch realm and probably getting the high leverage touches in a wonderful matchup.
If I set the line, D-Bro, at RB20, would you say that's, would you go over or under that?
Oh, it's over. Like I want to start him ahead of guys like even Breece Hall, Rico Dowdle in a horrible matchup, Jalen Warren, who's also in a split backfield too.
All right, Fitz, are you going right back to the well with Bucky, assuming he's on the field?
Yeah, I've got him RB18, and it's funny you asked how interested will you be in starting Bucky in his first game back. Well, considering the leagues where I've got him, they're deep leagues, and one of them you have to flex 3 guys. I've been flexing guys like AJ Barner. So I'm very interested in playing Bucky Irving in that league. I'm very interested in playing him in the league where I'm just barely staying alive in the playoff race on a team where I've been starting Zach Charbonnet at running back for weeks. So I'm very interested in starting Bucky Irving. He is the cavalry for me. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just always get nervous with guys their first game back after a long absence.
Oh, I know. We could get a ramp-up game.
Backfield, man.
Could be a ramp-up game where they lean, give Tucker and Rachaad White more snaps. But I know people are kind of getting into Sean Tucker here. Bucky Irving is a way better player than Sean Tucker.
Oh, he's a way better player. It's not close.
He is a special player for sure. Mm-hmm. So as soon as he is deemed fully healthy, I think he's going to be stiff-arming these other guys into fantasy irrelevance.
To your point also, Fitzy, this is a game where the Bucs should lean on their ground game. Baker Mayfield, even if he plays, is not going to be 100%. If we get Teddy 2 gloves in here, I mean, what's the over-under for the Buccaneers, like, rushing attempts in this game? Like 35?
Yeah, you would imagine the Tampa offense would run through the running backs.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
Let's go to Jags at Titans. Last game in the early slate here. Which Jaguars receiver is going to rank higher for you this week? Parker Washington or Jacoby Myers, Fitz?
It's really close. I've got Jacoby Myers, wide receiver 37, wide receiver 41. I like both guys, but the way Jacoby Myers has kind of asserted himself in the Jacksonville offense so quickly, and just Erickson and I were talking about this, like Trevor Lawrence kind of wants to take the path of least resistance and throw to tight ends and slot receivers, and like that's Jacoby Myers and it's Brenton Strange.
You are almost identical with ECR. You are one spot below ECR on Myers and one spot below ECR on Washington, but very similar ranges, obviously. D-Bro, do you see it the same where it's close, but you have a lean towards one or the other?
Yeah, I've got Jacoby Myers at wide receiver 35, and I've got Parker Washington at wide receiver 40 right now. I do give the lean to Myers, like Fitz is talking about. Just the numbers on paper all push me to Myers. Like over the last, I know Washington had the bigger game last week, but if you look over the last 2 weeks, Myers beats Washington in target share 21 to 17%. He beats him in yards per route run. He beats him in first read share. They both have 2 red zone targets. So I'm just following the volume and honestly the guy that I think is the better player.
Okay. I don't think we need to go too long on this one. Not a lot of exciting players in that game. Let's go to the Sunday late slate here. Vikings at Seahawks. Whether it's J.J. McCarthy or Max Brosmer, maybe by the time you're listening to this, there will be more clarity on the concussion stuff with McCarthy. But whether it's McCarthy or Brosmer at quarterback, I think it will be easy to make the case for sitting Jordan Addison against a great Seahawks defense. I'm wondering if you are also willing to consider sitting Justin Jefferson. His last 4 weeks, 6 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown. 4 catches, 37 yards, no touchdown. 5 catches, 61 yards, no touchdown. 4 catches, 48 yards, no touchdown. That's an average of 8.7 fantasy points per game in half PPR scoring the last 4 weeks. And now they are in Seattle against maybe the best defense in football. So, D-Bro, I will start with you. Regardless of who the quarterback is right now, are you willing to give any consideration to sitting Justin Jefferson?
It depends on your options. I'm going to throw it out there. Like, if you got a team and the guy that I've got right behind him, and I probably need to move ahead of him in rankings right now, if you have Michael Wilson, dude, like I don't know if that's a close case. Like Michael Wilson, I think you're playing over.
I just
Justin
threw up
Jefferson.
in my mouth a little talking about starting Michael Wilson over
dude,
Justin Jefferson. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's
if you would have told us in August that come week 13 we would be considering starting Michael Wilson ahead of Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
And I've got Wilson ranked higher.
Yeah, I mean, we would all be like, oh, come on.
We would have
like,
retired from what's the point of doing fantasy analysis?
Sobriety check on this person. Sobriety check. Has he been day drinking?
That is repugnant, but I don't disagree with you. So the answer is yes then, Debra. You are at least willing to consider.
Yeah, it's contextual. Like, and in that sample you laid out, Worm, and I know that I'm fudging this with PPR scoring, but he does have weeks of wide receiver 18, wide receiver 26. So there have been usable weeks in there for Justin Jefferson. Do I have a lot of faith in Justin Jefferson? The volume's going to be there, but what is had out of that? But also the run out is, okay, the Vikings are probably going to be trailing in this game. If he does get a touchdown, he's going to be a wide receiver too. So, garbage time plays just as well as anything else for fantasy. So.
Yeah, Fitz, for me, the point is less that like he's a must sit and more like he's in this range with like Diggs and Zay Flowers and Michael Wilson where it's like it's just kind of a range. Glom of a bunch of receivers. You just got to kind of like close your eyes and pick one.
Well, Wan'Dale Robinson versus Justin Jefferson is also a very real conversation.
Well, I mean, for the season, D-Bro, Wan'Dale is averaging 10.9 half-point PPR fantasy points per game. Justin Jefferson is 0.2 ahead of him at 11.1. And if you look at their numbers, they are eerily similar for the season.
Yep.
So that's where we are, unfortunately. The thing I'm thinking is that, like, could Max Brosmer really be any worse for Justin Jefferson than J.J. McCarthy was?
No.
So I think most people, I've got Jefferson a wide receiver 19, which is terrible, but I think he's still a starter for most people. But D-Bro said it. It's all based on context. Worm, you and I are Final 5 in the company guillotine league. Maybe if you've got Jefferson in a guillotine league, you've got better options because everyone has an all-star team at this point.
Here's 2 other spots. Do you rank Troy Franklin and Cortland Sutton ahead of him this week?
With the great matchup against...
Commanders?
Yeah, I know. Erickson and I talked about that on the ranking show, and I think Erickson does have both of the Broncos receivers
I think I'm
going to
move them ahead of him too. Like, I'm just like, I keep looking at options, and I'm like, Zay Flowers in a shootout. He's due for a big game. Wan'Dale Robinson. God darn it. I think I'm moving Justin Jefferson even lower.
Crazy.
Oh, it's painful.
We're going to get to the Broncos later, and we're going to talk about those receivers. Just to your point, Fitz, to wrap up, to put a bow on this, you said, like, can Max Brosmer really be worse than McCarthy? statistically speaking, basically no. The Ringer guys have been all over this on their show talking about McCarthy. Out of the 852 quarterbacks who have enough passes to be eligible, he's 851st this century in EPA per dropback, and all these. Jamarcus Russell is the only quarterback who's been worse in a lot of these metrics that we're looking at than McCarthy.
Not
still early. I'm not
JJ, but EPA per dropback is a horrible stat for player stats.
I don't think
it's not
it's
a player stat. It's a horrible stat to use.
I mean, I think it's telling that the best quarterbacks are at the top and the worst quarterbacks are at the bottom. There's some
it's an
relevance there.
It's more of a team stat. But anyway, I digress.
Well, that's a conversation for a different. I think there's some value in it, even if it's maybe a smaller amount. The point is, that's not the only metric. He's
he's
awful
not
in every
good.
metric.
No, I think that's the point.
And so yeah, Brosmer can basically not be worse. Let's go to Raiders at Chargers here. Do you expect any improvement from the Raiders offense this week after they fired offensive coordinator Chip Kelly? Fitz, what do you think about this one?
Not really, just because the offensive line is such a mess. There's no Colton Miller. Jackson Powers-Johnson is still on IR. I don't think he can come back until maybe next week at the earliest. It's just Ashton Genty has no room to run. Geno Smith is getting no protection. It's just hard to see any of that getting better with an OC change.
Debra?
I'm with Fitz. I mean, it's all the offensive line. And the other thing about it, we're recording this so early, I don't know if Ashton Genty plays this week. He got dinged up with an ankle issue. If he's out and we get Raheem Mostert, it's a really good freaking matchup. But the Raiders, can they open up any holes for any of these backs? Can they pass protect? Can Geno Smith not throw 4 picks or get sacked 10 times in a game? I don't know.
There are just so many bad offensive lines this year. It's so on the other side of the Chargers. I mean, it's because of injuries, but the Chargers offensive line so beat up too. It's just so frustrating when that is what is limiting so many offenses. Has there been any word on, is Hampton? I know this was early on a thought as a date.
Jim Harbaugh, man.
I haven't seen anything.
Jim Harbaugh said he's coming back after the bye. Now, is that with this week? Oh, Jim, is that this week or is it week 14 or 15?
If he was back, would you rather start Hampton or Genty if Genty plays?
Oh, Hampton.
You'd rather start Hampton first game back?
Talk about offensive line problems. I mean,
exactly.
They're not much better for the Chargers. So
I have more faith that the Chargers will at least get into the red zone. I can't tell you that happens for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Right now, I've got Hampton ranked, and I've got him behind Genty.
Yeah. I mean, right now, as we're projecting it, I have it the same, but
okay.
Again, we got to see what news, or if we get news, knowing Jim Harbaugh, good Lord, it's so hard to get any injury news out of them.
Yeah. We've got 3 games left, one more in the late afternoon slate on Sunday. Bills at Steelers. Which player is going to be toughest for you to rank in this game, Debra?
Dude, I don't know what to freaking do with Kenneth Gainwell this week. I'm just going to throw it out there. He's getting more of the backfield. Last week, he led the team in snaps. Is that a Jalen Warren thing? Is that an Arthur Smith thing? Is that a combination of both? I don't know. I mean, he did only have 10 of the 28 running back carries. So, it looks like Gainwell is kind of the script agnostic player where he's getting the passing down work. He had a 19.4% target share. I don't know what to do with Gainwell this week. I can make a really freaking easy case to sit here and rank him ahead of Jalen Warren. I could make a case to rank Jalen Warren ahead of him. To be honest, I think both of these guys are really, really freaking good starts. And I'm trying to push myself away, but both of these guys, you can make a case that both of them should be ranked as top 24 running backs this week.
How do you have them ranked
right now?
As of right now, which again early in the week.
Right now, I have Gainwell at RB21 and I have Warren at RB23 because I think Pittsburgh is going to lean on their ground game whether or not Aaron Rodgers plays.
Warren is higher in ECR. He's RB18. Gainwell is RB27. So there is a bit of a gap there.
It's too low for Gainwell, man. It's just too low.
Fitz, how do you see it?
Running back 16 for Warren, running back 23 for Gainwell.
All right, so you got him about top 24 too, Fitz.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Who's the guy who's tough to rank for you, Fitz, in this one?
This is a weird one for me. It's Khalil Shakir. And I think I'm above consensus at wide receiver 23 on him, which seems just first blush is that it seems too high, especially with no one on bye.
Yeah.
But Khalil Shakir is the only credible wide receiver the Bills have right now. Like, it's sad that Bills GM Brandon Beane has not given Josh Allen more to work with. Like, he could have gotten Rashid Shaheed at the trade deadline, and
could have gotten Jalen Waddle too, but he didn't want to give up the
Waddle.
first.
Yeah, Shaheed's just going to waste in Seattle. But so Shakir, 7 or more catches in 3 of his last 4 games, but then again, he's not really a downfield receiver. Like, he's just it's short stuff, and I don't mind the week 13 matchup against the Steelers and slot corner Brandon Eccles. Shakir should be pretty busy on Sunday. Wide receiver 23 does seem too high to me, and I've been kind of struggling with that.
He's wide receiver 24 in consensus.
I've got him at 28. Like, I've got a few guys over him that I just like their matchups and the game script. Like, I've got Watson ahead of him. I think if Herbert has time, I think this is a QJ bounce back spot versus the Raiders, who he owned last year. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I feel like the Shakir ranking this week, Fitzy, is a little bit us two chasing the 100-yard game that he had last week, which a large chunk of that came on
4th and 27.
Yeah, the trick play at the end where he just rumbles, or actually 2 of the plays at the end of that game. So I don't want to feel like I'm point chasing there.
Let's go to Sunday Night Football. Broncos at Commanders. We talked a little bit about Cortland Sutton and Troy Franklin earlier. If I offered you guys $1 million to correctly predict who will have the better game this week between Cortland Sutton and Troy Franklin, who would you pick? There is a lot on the line. You have to get this right. Cortland Sutton or Troy Franklin. Fitz.
I'm just going to go. So I do have them separated by Michael Pittman. He's the guy I have in between them. I've got Sutton ranked 1 spot ahead of Pittman, and Pittman 1 spot ahead of Franklin. I just think Sutton is a better player than Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin has run hot with touchdowns. And like Franklin's, if you look at his yards per route run and yards per target, I think yards per target is like 6.3 and yards per route run is like 1.49 or something. Not very impressive numbers, although maybe you could put that on Bo Nix. But I still do think Cortland Sutton is just the better player. I'm going to bet on the better player.
They are back-to-back in ECR, by the way, for what it's worth. Wide receiver 26 and wide receiver 27. D-Bro, if you had to pick and get this right, who do you like better?
Yeah, I'm right with Fitzy on it, like in the same area code. Like, I've got them in the Michael Pittman area code, but
Pittman, by the way, in ECR is 1 spot ahead of the 2 of them.
I've got Pittman at wide receiver 25. I've got Franklin at 23 and Sutton at 24. And the only thing that pushes me Franklin over Sutton, I agree with Fitzy. I think that Sutton is the better player. The only thing that pushes me with Franklin over Sutton, it just comes down to the high leverage usage. Sutton's not getting it. Franklin is one of the best in the NFL in that. Like, right now, he's got 14. Franklin has 14 red zone targets. Sutton has 7. Franklin has 21 deep targets. Sutton has 11. And for context about the 14 and 21, that is 6th and 2nd in the NFL. So it comes down to, okay, how do we score fantasy points? You got to score touchdowns and you need big plays. Franklin's getting more of that higher leverage usage than Cortland Sutton. Now, he's not connecting on a lot of those plays, but he's still getting the usage, and that's the only thing that's splitting hairs for me with them.
So $1 million in the line. You guys can't even agree on who you want to start. It's that.
Well, one of us is winning the millie and taking everybody out to dinner. We know that. At least we know that.
I cannot emphasize enough that you are not getting $1 million if you get this right in real life. I do not have that to give. Truthfully, I mean, obviously, it's a great matchup, right? So we're going to be happy to start both of them. I'm actually surprised that in consensus, both are outside the top 24.
Same.
Just given that they're going up against Washington. I mean, I know there's no teams on bye, so there's a lot of options here, but I just feel like again, you're facing Washington. This Commanders defense is so bad.
Like, why do we feel any better about, like, I mean, honestly, you can make a case to push them even higher. Like, Stephon Diggs, do we feel better when his route share dropped off the map last week? Do we feel better about Rome Odunze going against freaking Eagles? Like, there's some other guys where you can make the case to push them higher. Like, I don't know whether wide receiver 3s.
Drake May versus Bo Nix. Caleb Williams versus Bo Nix.
Yeah, but Bo Nix in a great matchup. Bo Nix is basically, him and Caleb are like the Spider-Man gif.
That's the reason. Hey, man, I mean, if it was Drake May, both of these guys would be inside the top 15 probably.
No, fair.
The two names ahead of them are Pittman and Shakir. Like, Shakir I don't know. And like Pittman going up against Houston's defense, right?
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
I think I'd rather have both.
And I got both those guys behind him.
It would not surprise me if the Broncos dropped 40 in this game. Like the Commanders' defense is just abhorrent. So we like them both.
Let's go to the ticked off, get right Broncos game.
Yeah, would not surprise me at all. Let's go to Monday Night Football. Speaking of Drake May, it's Giants at Patriots. The Patriots took some tough hits to their offensive line this week, and they now face a talented pass rushing group from the Giants. Are you dialing back expectations for New England's offense at all this week, or just ranking them as you normally would, even in this first game without Will Campbell and company? Debra, I'll start with you.
I'm ranking them as per usual. And do I think that Drake May is going to face more pressure? Yeah, I do think he does. But the big caveat between him and other players like Jared Goff and other players that are so pressure sensitive, Drake May's been freaking fantastic versus pressure this year. Like, he's been awesome. Versus pressure, Drake May has the 4th highest yards per attempt and the 5th highest adjusted completion rate and passer rating. So he has been flat out awesome in muddy pockets this year, and I think that continues this week.
There is eventually a point of no return, though, if the offensive line is bad enough, and it's not like they were starting from a great point. Fitz, what do you think?
Yeah, and it's not just Will Campbell with his MCL injury. It's also Jared Wilson, their left guard, with the high ankle sprain. Exactly. He's going to miss multiple weeks. So I'm not heavily docking any of the Patriots in the rankings, but I don't want to get too frisky with them. And I'll give you for instance, I've actually got Saquon Barkley 1 spot ahead of Travion Henderson, which I think is kind of a minority opinion among rankers. And Saquon obviously has not been running hot of late, but like, he's going against this Bears defense that just gave up 227 scrimmage yards to the 2 Pittsburgh running backs last week because they didn't have any of their starting linebackers. And I don't know what the status is of the Bears linebackers, how many of them, if any, have a chance to return this week. But I really like the matchup for Saquon. Don't know if he can take advantage, but then you've got Travion, who's got this great matchup against the Giants, but he's missing 2 key offensive linemen in front of him. So will the Patriots offense function the way it has been functioning?
And he hasn't been efficient either, Travion, at least on the ground. So
that's kind of it. So it's sort of a dilemma. I don't want to overrank the Patriots now that their offensive line is going to look a lot different, and it could be kind of a tough adjustment for them.
To your point, Fitzy, I've got Barkley right ahead of him. I got Barkley at RB8 and Travion RB9, so I'm with you on that.
All right,
They're 9 and 10 in ECR. Travion is 1 spot ahead. He's 9, and Saquon is 10.
If Barkley outdoes Travion, can we get the millie from that, Worm? Is that possible? Can we make the millie bet on that one?
How much money do you think I have?
I mean, I don't know, man. Sometimes like people got like oil money or, I don't know, dude.
I definitely do not, but I appreciate your optimism in me.
You're a crypto savant, I've heard. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. I did get in early on Dogecoin very early.
See?
And I actually did make a not insignificant profit on it. It wasn't $1 million or anywhere even remotely close, but that's my one claim to fame.
Fitzy and I will we're not. I mean, look, beggars cannot be choosers. We'll take $500,000. It's okay.
All right, that's all 16 games. We actually do have a minute or two left, so. As is tradition, what is your guys' favorite Thanksgiving side dish? Hopefully everybody has a really good time here on Thanksgiving in a couple days and, some fun family plans, maybe friends plans, depending on where you're at in your life. But obviously the food is the real star besides football of Thanksgiving. So what is your guys' favorite side dish, Fitz?
I know stuffing is a more polarizing side than mac and cheese or mashed potatoes, but, my mom makes a pretty awesome stuffing with my grandma's old recipe, so got to go with the stuffing.
Stuffing is a classic. Debro?
So if I'm going just with old reliable, it's got to be mac and cheese. If I'm going to go off the reservation just a little bit here, I will say that I always I buy Brussels sprouts on the stalk. I slather them in bacon up, which if anybody knows, there's just bacon grease you can buy. I season them and I stick them straight on the grill. So if I'm not going with old reliable mac and cheese, it's grilled Brussels sprouts, baby.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that is good.
Awesome.
It's funny. I never look forward to the mashed potatoes necessarily on Thanksgiving, but they always are just a great part of the dish.
Depends on how they're done. Awesome. If they're dry, if they're done properly, where they're more like creamy mashed potatoes, I'm with you.
Yeah, got it.
I
Gotta get
also
a
just
couple
want to say, like,
pounds of butter in there for
Yeah.
make
If
sure.
I
you're
also
like
wanna
eating
say,
the
like-
Sahara where you're like, like
I love
All the
the
gravy.
turkey. Like, turkey, I think, is actually like underrated on Thanksgiving at this
Yes.
point. Like, a well-made turkey
Yes.
is awesome. And people are like, oh no, it's all about the
People
size. The
hate
turkey's the
turkey.
worst part of the. I'm like, what are you talking about?
People hate turkey, and my response to that is, okay, fine.
You're not making
Just
it right.
tell me nobody has ever cooked a turkey the right way. It's the same thing with steak. People that don't like steak, I'm like, just tell me you've never had it cooked right. That's all I need to hear. 'Cause that's
By the
what
way,
you're saying.
I think I mentioned this last year. A couple years ago, my family had me make the stuffing, and the recipe that I used had chorizo sausage mixed into the stuffing. It was really good. It was basically a normal
amazing.
stuffing, only it was green onions instead of regular onions, and it was chorizo sausage mixed in with it. And besides that, it was pretty
Dear
much the
Lord.
same as all. It was so good
Well,
that
chorizo's a cheat code, dude. You just,
It-
you
dude.
won Thanksgiving with that.
Well, here's what's funny. It was not supposed to be chorizo sausage. I forget what the recipe called for, but
it's usually
it
like
called
Jimmy
for.
Dean's hot sausage.
Well,
or
it called
something
for
like that.
a different meat entirely, and the store didn't have any. And I was like, I'm just gonna use chorizo sausage. It's what's there, and it turned out so good that I have been making it
Yeah,
for a few
that's-
years.
I was
years
going to
ever
say, that
since.
became a go-to. You fell backwards into some magic. Warren.
It very
That's
much
wonderful.
did. So I'm getting hungry just talking about this. Excited for the meals. Excited for the football. Like you said, Fitz, best slate we've ever had on Thanksgiving. So it's going to be a super fun day. Hope everybody enjoys it and the holidays and the time off that you get. Best of luck here in Week 13. We're in the playoff stretch run here for getting to the fantasy postseason. So good luck here this week and beyond. Hopefully this show, even coming earlier in the week, can help out a bit. We'll be back here next week for Debro and Fitz. I'm Ryan Wormeli. We'll see you next time.